Hello and welcome to another episode of Rufus Eats Cheese. I have just one cheese today, but what a cheese it promises to be. It is the 2017 Supreme Champion of the World Cheese Awards. 2018, it got a Super Gold at the World Cheese Awards. And in 2020, it got gold at Taste of the West. It is, of course, Cornish Kern. You may not have heard of Cornish Kern, but you're very likely to have heard of its older brother, Yarg. This is made by Liner Dairies down in Cornwall. Yarg is a bit of an artisan British cheese now. It's wrapped in nettle leaves. They also do one in spring with wild garlic wrapping. In fact, a friend of mine from Cornwall, in her school holidays, she used to pick nettles for the wrapping of Cornish Yarg, which is a pretty awesome holiday job, I think. So this is Cornish Kern. As you can see, it doesn't really look like cheddar. It doesn't really look like Yarg. The idea behind this cheese was to make something a little different. So this is actually made in an Alpine style. So once the milk has been curdled, you have the curd left over. The curd is actually heated, so it's scalded. This helps with the flavour and the texture later on. Additionally, they used Alpine cultures in there. They didn't use the kind of cultures that they might put in traditional British cheeses. So yes, it's really rather different. The outside here is a wax coating, but it is breathable, and the process of maturing this, Yarg, for example, is quite a young cheese, and you get a lot of those light sort of lactic tastes coming through still. This is kept in here to mature for up to 18 months, so this could be a year and a half old. It's a beautiful looking cheese. It smells great. It's been out for about an hour. It's a pretty hot day today, so I think it's had enough time to warm up. We're not going to eat the rind, but we are going to examine the rind. I think it's kind of interesting. So let's turn this over. You can see on here, there's definitely some of those cheesy molds growing through on here, and they've clearly textured it as well. And it does look rather lovely. It is also, it is also like the Yarg. It is also washed in brine. It's left floating around in the brine for a bit before it's matured. I think, let's take a little look at the texture here. And we've got a few little crystals here. You can actually feel them with the knife. This is quite similar to something like Comté, and what I've read about this cheese, they do compare it with something like Comté. So you can see it has a slight flake here, but it's also very closed texture. So I think the thing to do really is dive straight in. So I am gonna try and take some from here. So I need this one actually. Let's try split this way. It's really rather firm. Wow, really is quite firm, even though it's been warming up. Wow, there's some great smells coming off here. I wish you guys could smell them. It smells nutty and awesome. It does have other hint to it, which I'm still trying to put my finger on exactly what that might be. I'm just going to see if I can actually split a piece off here so we can get an idea of the texture as well. Oh. Wow. Now I made a bit of a mess with this, but this really is quite a hard cheese. This is not like cutting a piece of cheddar. You can see from how this is broken. In fact, just listen to that. It's really quite firm still. It has warmed up. It's not really cold inside. So, right, what should we start with? You know, that piece there is looking pretty good. It's looking like it's got my name on it there. I'm just going to get this little bit of wax off. And I think we should dive in. First of all, its appearance. You can see bubbles in it. You can see crystals. You can actually feel the crystals as well. Let's turn it over a sec. Yeah, we've got little crystals here. Now, if this is anything like the other Alpine cheeses, these are possibly tyrosine crystals, which are formed from the continued action of the culture in the cheese. And it's something like forming little crystal structures in caves. So it's been munching away and it's left tyrosine amino acids behind. It's possible that they're calcium lactate crystals, but if it's anything like Comté, then perhaps they're that. We'll oh wow. That smells incredible. Okay, we've got that real nuttiness that you get from a nice piece of Comté. There's some definite caramel notes coming through as well. I think I need to dive in and eat it, don't I? Stop talking. Wow. Okay. They have hit a serious number of kind of important cheese points here, especially for me. These lovely nutty caramel notes that come through when you sniff the cheese are really up front when you taste it. So you're getting a sweetness, a nuttiness, almost a caramel scent, a caramel flavour, very similar to a very mature Gouda or Gouda or Gouda. Apologies, our friends in the Netherlands there. I'm going to try another piece just in case. That's extraordinary. It has this lovely crumbly texture, but the crumb is very fine. You can feel the crystals on your teeth, and they just offer enough resistance, and then they yield, and then the whole thing just melts away. That is absolutely beautiful. Wow. It's quite impressive when a dairy comes up with something like Yarg, and you think, oh, you know, well done, that's amazing, that's a very impressive cheese. But then when they're able to come up with another cheese that's so completely different, but is equally as distinct. That's really quite an achievement, I think. The process of making this isn't really too similar to making Yarg, really, but I'm gonna try another piece just to be sure. That is absolutely exquisite. There's that was my third little piece, and none of the initial flavour and sensation on the palate from the first piece, none of it's lost on the third piece. It's still every bit as delicious. The flavour is still developing as well. The nuttiness is fading, the caramel is fading. I'm left with this lovely sharpness. It's not too strong, it's quite subtle, but there's definitely a little how to describe it. Let's have another little bit. Let's have another little bit just to check. I wouldn't want to give you guys any misinformation here. Let's just dive in. Oh, take this piece off. I'll just nip that edge off there. We'll have this piece. Oh, the nose is so beautiful. It has everything that I love in the Alpine cheeses. I find it very difficult to choose between Comté and Gruyere because I like both of them so much, but this one has all its own distinct character as well as those similarities with these top Alpine cheeses. Just as you can tell Comté from Gruyere, from Beaufort, this, I reckon, with a bit more familiarity with it, so I probably need to buy a few more of these, I could pick it out of a lineup, I reckon, of Alpine cheeses. It's definitely got its own character as well. I'm going to try another taste. You really get, from the edge here, you really get this kind of cloth-bound taste going on. If you're a fan of cloth-bound cheddar, such as Quick's, which is down the road here, or I think Wookie Hole cheddar, they do a cloth-bound one, I think, then you'll recognise from the edge here that certain taste from the process of maturing in cloth. As you can see, there's definitely some mould on the outside here, which at least looks similar to the mould that you might find on a cloth-bound cheddar. I'm going to try a little bit more of this, see what else I can tell you. It's so reliable. The next piece, boom, there it is. I'm also starting to appreciate, although this is a big piece of cheese, it's a really hot day, it's about 28 degrees outside, but this isn't yielding all its oils. This still has that nice granular texture of an Alpine cheese. It's not kind of, I think a cheddar would be sweating a bit more than this. This feels in some ways a little drier than that, and so much flavour. The caramel is gorgeous. It actually reminds me, the caramel notes really remind me of old Amsterdam. If you haven't tried Old Amsterdam, that's a really good cheese as well. Nothing like this otherwise, but a very nice cheese. I have to say, I'm absolutely delighted with this. I'm a Cornish boy, although I'm living in Devon. I'm a Cornish boy, and I'm particularly pleased to find yet another Cornish cheese that's so nicely made. You know, so there's so much care gone into it. They really seem to have an interest in creating a proper artisanal product. So it'd be so easy to just take milk and make, if you like, supermarket own branded cheddar, sell it to the supermarkets like that. Instead, they have this gorgeous artisan thing that, I mean, each one of these, if you look at the radius of this here, the overall wheel is going to be somewhere around this size, and each one of those has to be looked after for 18 months before it's ready. So I'd say that was a pretty big investment in your craft. I can absolutely see why it's won so many awards. I think it's not only a wonderful tasting cheese, it's also a beautiful looking cheese. A piece of this on a cheese board is really going to look kind of special, I think. A quick note: Liner Dairies, who produce this, say on their website that this is not suitable for vegetarians. I have seen this cheese offered by other outlets for sale, and some of them have said that it is suitable for vegetarians. I would perhaps go with what the dairy says, seeing as they know what they put in it. I think that's quite an important point there, that knowing the producer and looking for information from the producer is not necessarily the same as getting the information from the outlet. I think in this way, some of the smaller independent cheese stockists are going to be a great source of information for this. However, it is also quite hard to find, and I managed to get this in Waitrose. So if you have a Waitrose near you with a cheese counter, even with COVID-19, they are now serving. I had to keep my distance, wear a mask, everything else, but I was able to buy this from the cheese counter, and this magnificent piece of cheese is going to be keeping me company for a few days, I think. Okay, so there it is, folks. Cornish Kern. You can buy it in Waitrose. Have a look at the dairy. It's Liner Dairies. There's a link in the description below. If you have any questions at all about this cheese, please drop them in the comments below. If you tried this cheese and you liked it or you didn't like it, let me know in the comments. Give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification to make sure you're notified of any new uploads. This cheese is really great. If you like Alpine cheeses, there's a link up here to other Alpine cheeses that I looked at in previous review. I think it might be time to revisit some of those, so keep your eyes open. I've forgotten quite how much I like my Alpine cheeses, so thank you to Liner Dairies for not only bringing me such a wonderful cheese, but for bringing a brother or sister for the lovely Yarg. If you haven't tried Yarg, by the way, you really need to try it. It's very different to this, but equally gorgeous. And get yourself down to your cheese stockist and see if you can buy some Cornish Kern. Fantastic cheese. Should be available nationally, I would guess. If you can buy Yarg, you should be able to buy this, or at least ask for it. Thanks very much. Please like, share, comment and subscribe, and I will see you next time.